Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, yesterday's show, of course, we were talking about the possibility of, some kind of nemesis for the Hammerhead when the Hammerhead gets introduced. And it provoked a lot of the conversation that I really wanted to see, which was like people saying, oh, well, the Eclipse can kill the Hammerhead. Oh, well, a perfect combo would be the Eclipse and the Vanguard, specifically the Harbinger with distortion guns, that sort of thing. That's the kind of conversation that I like to see. It's like, how do we solve this problem? Like, we have an equation and we have variables A, B, and C. And then we know that the final variable, X equals 2. How do we solve that equation, right? And you can say, well, if I can do anything with it, there's a myriad of different ways that I can solve that equation. And in Star Citizen, very much the same thing. There's plenty of ways to get the job done, and I like to have those conversations where it's, oh, I could do it this way, oh, I could do it that way. What if I got 2 retaliators and came at it from the same direction so the guns could only engage one, that sort of thing. But the more that I was thinking about the idea of just having kind of like a roving, kind of way overtuned void bomber or a pirate hammerhead or something like that roaming around the system, the more I like the idea, because I know that one of the big things that kind of pulls people away from Star Citizen, especially now, is it's the lack of permanence. And I certainly understand it. I know that when people, every once in a while I do get these email messages and they generally start off in the same way. Oh, when they're not saying fuck you, minion, but generally a lot of these messages start off the same way, and it's like, I don't really play the game right now. I'm kind of waiting for it to be more finished, but I like to watch your videos, even though I disagree with you sometimes, all the time, none of the time. Well, the last one never happens. And, I just like to see what's going on in the game. And they always kind of say it in a way that it's almost like they feel guilty that they don't play. And I totally understand why people don't play. The lack of permanence is a major detractor. I mean, the fact that, I could sit here and I could make thousands and thousands and thousands of credits and then it's all wiped out next week kind of sucks. I mean, it's understandable for where the game is in development, but it kind of sucks. But I mean, and I am certainly guilty of it too. I totally am guilty of it too, because I mean, a lot of you know that I'm also a World of Warcraft player, and I do have access to the Battle for Azeroth beta, but I don't play it. Why? Because it doesn't count. It doesn't count for anything. I already know how to play the game. I know what the rules are, so I don't really need it. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who are clamoring for those beta keys, and I have one, but it's like, yeah, not interested. So I totally get when people say, yeah, you know what, I'm not really playing right now, but I do like to watch a few videos on YouTube and kind of keep abreast of things. I totally get it. I don't sit there and go, you should play it. You're a backer. You have a responsibility to help develop the game and file bug reports and blah, blah, blah. No, I totally understand. The lack of permanence, the lack of a sense of progress is something that kind of pushes people away. But the more I thought about the idea of sort of having the big bad wandering around the star system, like the pirate hammerhead or a Vanduul void bomber or some other pseudo capital ship kind of roaming around that was so overtuned that no one player could kind of take it on by themselves, I think that would be an interesting thing to have in the game. Give something to players to, kind of like a group challenge. Can you take this thing down? Where somebody might have to go, well, you know what? My Reclaimer doesn't do a lot of damage, but it does absorb a lot of damage. So why don't I go in with my Reclaimer and somebody can hop in the Reclaimer and they can, they can operate the shields, make them last at least a little while longer, and then you guys can come in with your retaliators and hit it from the side and we can blow it up together. Something like that, something that kind of gets people together, gets them playing in a group, gets them thinking about strategy and tactics. Something really fun, something really cool to kind of drive interest and help kind of keep people at least touching base with the game from time to time. You could do one of these events around certain patches, and don't make it so it's like, hey, it's only up for this weekend and then never again. Make it something that's up for the entire length of a patch, like 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, something like that. I think something like that would be certainly something that would be very welcomed by the community. And you could add in certain rewards, nothing too overpowered, nothing too crazy, but maybe you could make it so that, let's say, you know, this patch, it was a Vandal Void Bomber. You and your org, you get together, everyone gets credit for the kill, just sort of like when they did the Glaive event a few years ago, and everyone had to complete Vandal Swarm in the online mode, and if you did, you got that special badge and permission to purchase a Glaive. And the game was in pretty spotty condition back then, so there were a lot of people going, I just keep getting disconnected, oh my god, I want a Glaive, but I can't, you know. But having something like that where it's open, where it's not limited, where people can just join in, and maybe the reward is something simple, like if you do this, you complete it, you're going to get a free like P4 AR ballistic rifle. Now that may not seem like a lot to a lot of people, and some people say, oh, does it have a special skin or something like that? No, but maybe it gives you that feeling of progress. Like now, once the game is live, once I get into the game, I'm going to have a P4 AR ballistic rifle already ready to go on my gun rack. I mean, there are certain concierge rewards right now where I think there's like the pistol, the sniper rifle, there's a shotgun, and there's other weapons as well that they've gotten. I think that there should be, you know, nothing all chromed up like that, but there should be certain player rewards that are just out there that players can earn just by playing the game. And I think that that would help kind of give the game a little bit of a sense of progression. And it'll also give people a place to kind of get used to teamwork and thinking as a group instead of, you know, having this game go down a road where everyone's just like, you know what, I'm just so used to playing single player that I'm just going to be a lone wolf, even in Star Citizen. Because I do appreciate the need and sometimes the desire to just play all by yourself, just because you don't have to worry about adhering to anybody else's schedule or starting something up and then someone goes, oh, I have to go AFK for just a second, and then they're gone for 30 minutes and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do? You know, things like that. But just to kind of get people exposed to teamwork and maybe getting to the point where even in local chat they can just spontaneously form a group and say, oh, like I saw it over at Kovalex, and everyone just kind of charges at Kovalex and you get just a big space battle going on there. Something fun, something interesting. Especially when you're not so time limited, when, you know, let's say your org leader can send out an org message and say, look, Saturday night, we're all going to get together. We're going to try to get this mix of ships going out of all the ships that I know that you guys have. We're going to try to get this mix going, and we're going to take this thing on and see if we can take it down. The reward, not that much, but certainly it does kind of lend a certain feeling of progression to just playing the game. And it's not something where you have to do it every day, where you're like, oh, well, if I want to get these rewards, I have to log in and do 30 dailies in Star Citizen before I get a gun. You know, just something that just rewards you for touching base with the game and exploring the different possibilities of what you can do within the game, even if it's just for a little while. Now, some people might look at it and say, oh, well, what's the point? I mean, it's just a gun. I can go into the store and I can buy whatever gun I want. But if you think about this as an overtime thing, that as you're kind of taking the game towards beta, towards that point where you're going to start making persistence count, over that time, players can build up a fair amount of rewards. And certainly for people out there who have larger ships, that can kind of help fill up your armory and get at least some basic equipment in there for when they want to go out. And you can kind of make these like permanent parts of the player's account, much the same way you have with the concierge stuff. And I think that that's a pretty good incentive to at least touch base with the game on a fairly regular basis, and certainly for orgs that are out there that are always kind of struggling to kind of keep the community together, especially given the situation that the game is in right now. You know, having something like this as a reason to kind of, or an excuse to kind of get people together and to get people playing together is definitely, I think, something that a lot of orgs would enjoy and benefit from. So just some thoughts and some ideas, just expanding on what I was talking about yesterday. Anyways, I think I'm going to call it quits here. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.